attending online, please type your responses in the chat box. Students who are attending offline, if you wish, you can respond in the chat box or you can speak directly. Yes? What do you mean by intelligence? Smartness, okay. Okay, I'd like to suggest you all something, students. I would like to suggest you all, whenever you are asked a meaning of one word in any language, don't try to define it using one word. In the same language at least. Because there are no two words in any language that would mean exactly the same thing. There has to be some difference in the meaning. We all know that. When we study synonyms, what do we study? What's the definition of synonyms? Similar meanings, right? Words with similar meanings. They're not the same meaning. So if you try to define a given word using one word in the same language, you are actually not defining it pretty well. Yes? Alright. Try to define intelligence. What do you believe is intelligence? I'm not asking for a book definition of intelligence. I'm asking you. What is your understanding of the term intelligence? Okay, Minket just said the thinking ability which is useful is intelligence. Afra said the quality of brain. Okay, anyone who can tell me what is the difference between brain and mind? What's the difference between brain and mind?
Mind is an abstract noun.
Mind is an abstract noun and
Brain is actually there.
Brain is actually the name of the organ.
Yeah, organ.
Correct? The difference between brain and mind is somewhat similar to the difference between a house and a home. Is that making sense? What is a house? House, when you use the term house, you are referring to the structure of it. You are referring to something which is physically present that you can touch and see, which has a location, which has certain boundaries, and which has certain equipments associated with it. Yes? That is your house. What is a home? Not necessarily. If I say, my home is wherever my mom is, does that make sense? No?
Yes.
There are times when people refer to others, may it be your mom, may it be your spouse. People refer to their partners saying that you are my home. What do you mean by home?
Comfort.
Comfort, right? It has to do with the feeling, the homely feeling. When you go to someone else's place, they tell you make yourself comfortable. Feel yourself at home. Feel at home. Will they ever say feel like this is your house? Will they say ऐसा समझो तुम्हारा ही मकान है?
Formality के लिए बोलते हैं.
When they say make yourself at home, what they're trying to say is that try to feel the same way as you would feel in your home. Getting it? Because your home is a feeling that you can feel in different locations. But your house is a geographical concept.
So we cannot say that home and woman person.
No. For house, you will always use the preposition in. Because when you say house, when you're referring to the house, you're referring to a boundary. You're referring to a structure. So you will say, I'm in the house. I'm out of the house. You will never say I'm at the house. But when you say home, you cannot say I'm in the home. Because now you don't have a structure, you don't have a boundary. You will rather say I'm at home. Because that is one point that you're referring to. Understood? Okay. Now what I was talking about was intelligence. Someone said it's smartness. Someone said it was the quality of brain. It cannot be the quality of brain because intelligence is an abstract concept and brain is an organ. Yes? So the different qualities of brain, would that define intelligence? Yes? ब्रेन की क्वालिटी इंटेलिजेंस डिफाइन करेगी क्या? ब्रेन ऑर्गन है. We know an average human brain's weight, size, functioning, everything, and that's pretty much the same for everyone, isn't it? Then how can you say that there are good quality brains and bad quality brains?
Mind.
Getting the difference? Now, intelligence is basically the use of your knowledge to understand the knowledge that you have and how is it useful would be called intelligence. Now, effective intelligence kya hoga? What do you think is effective intelligence?
Using your intelligence in the right way.
Knowing when and what to do with the knowledge that you have in order to get the desired results, in order to achieve the desired result would be called effective intelligence. Is that making sense? Let's start with a basic concept which we call thinking. What do you mean by thinking? What do you mean by thinking?
The way you react to various things.
I request all the students who are sending definitions or whichever explanations that they are finding, please do not send it just to the host. Send it to everyone. If you have any questions as such that you would like to send only to the host, only then address it to the host. Otherwise, send all your messages to everyone so that everyone can go through those definitions or save the chat and further refer to it. All right. Yes, what do you mean by thinking? I did not ask for the translation of thinking, vichar karne. What do you mean by thinking?
The way
Give me the meaning of it.
the way you react to various things.
The way you react to certain things, isn't that more like a part of your attitude or your behavior? For example, if you say that the way you react to certain stimulus around you, I ask you if there is really hot water that I mistakenly spill on you and you scream and you move your hand away. That was a reflex action. Now, was that reflex well thought? No.
I'm pondering
That
upon
means
something.
that thinking has not specifically an association with your actions. You can think something, but you can say something else. Only humans have the ability to lie. Are you all aware of this? Can you think of any other animal or any other living thing that has the ability to lie? Right? Only humans have the ability to lie. No. Even when it comes to animals, they use certain language, they use certain sounds, certain speech in order to convey messages. But can they lie? How can they lie if they can't speak about the past or the future? Animals will always talk about the present. They will pass messages about the present. Yes? Do you think that any yet discovered, chalo theek hai, any animal yet discovered their speech, whosoever speech has been discovered so far, do you think any of them, do you know about any of them who have the ability to lie willingly? No. Humans have the ability to lie willingly. Lie detector tests we know of? Yes? Movies mein har jagah bahut dekhe hai lie detector test. How do they work?
Ma'am, they get paid to the body.
No, ma'am.
No. They
Our
don't do
heart,
that.
blood starts flowing. Or
So,
heart beat.
what happens basically is that the human body, like all other living organisms, is designed in a way that your mind, your brain is sending out signals to your motor organs, and therefore you perform actions. Yes? When you're trying to speak, your brain is sending a signal to your mouth to move in a specific manner, to articulate particular sounds, to frame particular sentences in order to convey a particular meaning. Yes? Now what happens is that when your body is doing its regular work, it's functioning normally, your heart rate will be normal. The moment you exert pressure on any one organ, you give more effort to it, so blood circulation उस area में बढ़ जाएगा. Yes? What happens is that even if you lie very smoothly, what happens is that when you lie, your mind has a piece of information stored. Your brain is sending the same signal to your mouth, but your mouth is saying something else, which the information in your mind is not matching, because of which the blood circulation increases. समझ में आ रहा है?
Change that sentence, you get more energy and more blood.
Therefore, when more blood is being sent out, there is more of blood circulation. Your heart rate increases, because of which lie detector tests catch you when you're lying. Getting the difference? Because if someone who does not have the knowledge of something, who actually believes कि यही हुआ, और वो उसको गलत पता है, वो lie detector test में पकड़ा जाएगा क्या? उसके माइंड में जो इंफॉर्मेशन है वो वही बोलता है. समझ में आ रहा है डिफरेंस? Now, what is thinking basically? Now, thinking is not only about your reactions, your mannerisms, your attitude. That those all consider as the consequences after thinking. What is thinking? When do you think? So when you think, you are basically. Did someone say something online?
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay. When you're thinking, what you're basically doing is you're trying to ask questions to your mind, search through the data that you have in your mind stored, and look for answers for those questions based on the data and the information that you have, and therefore use that information, use those answers in order to simplify situations that you have come across. Difference समझ में आ रहा है? When you study history, why do we study history?
To learn about the past.
Why do we want to learn about the past? Why is it
We do
important?
not repeat the same mistake of learn something.
So that we learn that what mistakes we don't have to repeat. How do we know those were mistakes? Because we already know that when they did this, what was the consequence. So we know that it was whether it was a good decision or a bad one, or whether it was a decision and now we do not define it as a good decision as a bad decision, but we at least know that what were the consequences, which were the good consequences, which were the bad ones. What price are we ready to pay? Yes, for some people it would be a fair price. This was to be done for this, but for some people it might not be. It's about perspective. But why are we studying history? We are storing that information in our minds in order to understand. When parents tell their children their experiences, they are giving history, right? Why are they sharing their experiences with you? So that you have the data in your mind about what happened, what they did, and what was the result of it. In order to judge it yourself, analyze it, and well understand that if faced by a similar situation, you can refer to this data in order to understand what to do, what not to do, or at least what could have been better. That does not mean that you will make the best decisions, but possibly at least you won't repeat the same. So when you will pass on information to your child, you will have two sets of mistakes that they will not do. You will tell your fathers, you can say, you will tell them what your father decided to do in that situation and how the consequences were not very favorable. Then you will tell that, okay, so you decided to do it differently, but again, the consequences were not very favorable. So at least the child will not repeat the same thing. Yes? Now, thinking, what it says here, have a look at the screen. Thinking multiplies the value of your other skills. Does everyone agree to this? Thinking multiplies the value of your other skills which is basically by asking the questions that shall reach the right answers. Whatever skills you have, will it always be the same way to apply that skill? Even if it comes to your basic things that we know of, okay? Like I know how to eat food. We all know how to feed ourselves, when to feed ourselves. We all know, we understand when we are hungry, when our body needs food. We all understand when we are full and now we don't need any more food. Yes? Does that mean that each meal that you have is the same and the same decisions your mind is taking with respect to that meal? Of how you want to eat, how much you want to eat, where you want to eat. When you're eating, if a morsel drops from your hand, will you pick it up and eat? Yeah, but if it fell in your plate.
Yes, ma'am.
So that decision, how did you take that decision? Thinking. Understood? What did you think? Based on the data that you have in your mind, you thought about it. It was pretty quick, but you thought about it that, okay, this morsel I just lifted from my plate has fallen back in my plate. It's not dirty in any way. I should lift it up again and eat it. Yes? But if it falls outside my plate, I know that the food is not to be eaten now because now it could have gotten germs on it. So I will not eat it. But again, I will think that I should at least take it and keep it in the waste plate or something so that it is clean that there. I'm not just leaving a morsel there. Yes? Is that making sense? So, what it's saying is thinking multiplies the value of your other skills, which is basically by asking the questions that shall reach the right answers. If you pay attention, it says that shall reach the right answers. It's not saying that will reach the right answers. Because you cannot really be sure each time that based on the information that you have and the way that you are thinking, your answers will always be right. But what we try is to get the right answers. So based on all the information that we have, we try to derive a certain equation where we are sure कि मुझे लग रहा था सही होगा. Getting it? Which means that if it does not come out to be the right answer, it was probably unexpected. Something, some obstacle or some scenario which was not thought of, which was not predicted happened. Getting it? That is why we're saying that thinking multiplies the value of your other skills, which is basically by asking the questions that shall reach the right answers. Is that clear? Shall we move ahead? Okay. Next we have here effective intelligence defined. Now, tell me something. If someone reads a lot of books, he has a lot of knowledge. उसको बहुत मालूम है. ठीक है? उसको ये नहीं पता कि बताते कैसे है किसी को. उससे कोई पूछता है वो चिढ़ जाता है. खुद पढ़ लो. Is his knowledge of any use? He is not even doing anything about it. He is learning. He is enjoying it. He's a good learner. He's learning it quick. He's understanding very well. He's not doing any research. He's not applying that knowledge anywhere. He's not doing anything to use that knowledge or to spread that knowledge. बस वो उस knowledge को खुद तक use कर रहा है. उसको चीजें जल्दी समझ में आ जाती है because he has studied it all. Is his knowledge of use to society or to the world? No. He'll go, the knowledge will be gone. Yes? Now, what do we mean by effective intelligence? It is not only important to be intelligent, it is also important to know what to do with that intelligence. Correct? Okay, fair question. How many of you have met someone in your life जिसके एग्जाम्स में मार्क्स बड़े अच्छे आते हैं और तुम्हें लगा कि यार ये कितना स्मार्ट होगा, but the moment you talk to that person you realize इसको कुछ नहीं आता है, इसके कैसे इतने अच्छे मार्क्स आते हैं? मिले हो ऐसे लोगों से? सब ज्यादातर लोग मिले हैं? Why do you think that happens? It's not called bookish knowledge. See, books are written by people. Yes, we have knowledge. We shared it in books for others to read and get knowledge. So you cannot say that it is a problem with books. there is a lack of effective intelligence. They know
They
what
cannot
is to be
express it.
done. They know what should be done, but only to the limitation that they can tell you that should be done. Getting the difference? If there is a person who promotes science, he studies science thoroughly, he explains to you how there is a science behind everything that happens, and eventually, the moment you switch off the light, now he's teaching you about how light was invented, and the moment you switch off the light, he just shouts, "Good!" Would you count that person as effectively intelligent? He is indeed intelligent. He knows about a lot of things. But knowing something and knowing how to use it are two different things. The same thing I tell you all when it comes to your English session. That you all are very good at your mathematics. You all are very good at your GK. You all are pretty good with current affairs. But unless and until you all don't know how to write it in the examination, what language to use and what words to correctly use in order to convey those messages further, will they be of any use? If you don't understand your questions given in the examination well, even if you have the right answer, would you know that this is the right answer to this question? No. Your knowledge would be waste. Getting the difference?
Then is intelligence more important or effective?
First of all, intelligence is the foundation, right? You cannot compare intelligence with effective intelligence. Because effective intelligence would just be an adjective describing intelligence. So what we are saying is that if you have intelligence, you need to know how to bring it to effect. You need to know how to use it efficiently in order to make it useful for society and the world. Else, that intelligent is just individual. It is to yourself. Is that of any use? That is what we're talking about.
That's what science and education lacks.
These are two opposites. So what you have been following as a pattern to study right since childhood, and how you have to apply effective intelligence are two different mannerisms all together with respect to directions. You almost slept. Where's your phone? Okay. Boys, silence. Okay. Now I'll give you all one example. Effective intelligence and what you have been doing so far. So far, what happens is, you all have studied a theorem. Yes? You all studied that this is a proven theorem. And then you all studied the proof of the theorem. You all studied a theorem and then you all studied the proof of the theorem. And then using that theorem, you applied it to 3 questions and proved further 3 theorems. Yes? How do you think that those theorems came into existence as theorems? जिसने भी वो theorem बनाए, उसने कैसे बनाए होंगे? And assumption. कोई theorem को assume कर सकता है बैठे बैठे?
By proven it.
Experimentation, okay. What else?
चलो ठीक है ना.
Try to draw a flowchart. क्या sequence रहा होगा किसी भी theorem का? कोई assume कैसे कर सकता है theorem? पहले के theorems कहाँ से है? I am trying to ask you what could be the origin of a theorem? How does a theorem come into existence?
ये लागलाय का
किस पर रिसर्च किया? थ्योरम तब नहीं था. थ्योरम बनाने के लिए उन्होंने रिसर्च किया. किस पे रिसर्च किया? Basically, what happens is, yes, observations. I'll give you all simpler words for that. There are certain things we observe around us. We draw a pattern in our mind कि ये चीज यहाँ 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 occur हो रही है, reoccur हो रही है in a particular pattern. Yes. Now I see कि इन चीजों का एक particular category है जिसमें मैं ये सारी चीजों को डाल सकती हूँ. Correct? And then I say कि okay, what can we do to simplify this task in order to generalize something about this entire category? And to generalize something about that entire category, I will try to test that pattern on everything else that can fall into that category. और अगर मुझे सारी चीजें उस कैटेगरी में जो जाती है उन सब पे वो एक चीज एक पैटर्न फिट हो रहा है except for one thing, then I will say that okay, this is a theorem that I have come up with one exception. Yes, what we have been doing so far is we study a theorem, फिर हम उसको प्रूव करते हैं कि ये सही है, ये बिलीव करते हुए कि ये सही है, और उसके बाद हम उसको अप्लाई करते हैं और फिर हम कंक्लूजन में वो ऑब्जर्वेशन देते हैं जहां से वो बनना स्टार्ट हुआ था. Getting the difference? The directionality is completely opposite. Now tell me कि जब आपको थ्योरम दिया जा रहा है और आप उसको प्रूव कर रहे हैं, what are you learning? Proving someone else's point and convincing yourself how it's right? Are you thinking? Theorem prove करते time, is there any use of your thinking? What? There is only use of your memory. You're not thinking. You're just using your memory. There's a difference. Thinking के हमने अब भी definition दी. Ask the questions in order to, which shall give the right answers, right? So to ask questions, are we asking questions when we're trying to prove a theorem? We are just asking the questions कि ये theorem का step 1 क्या था, and your mind is telling you कि हाँ मैं इसमें बड़ा था ये. Memory. That's it. When it comes to effective intelligence, look at your screen. What does it say? Boys, I need silence. Now, what does it say on your screen? Effective intelligence is one's ability to use their natural and developed capabilities, both their natural capabilities and developed capabilities effectively in order to achieve success, growth, or imply wisdom from the knowledge or skills that they possess. Now we've come across another word, wisdom. What do you mean by wisdom? When do you call someone wise? When do you say that he's a wise man? When he scores very good marks in an exam? When do you call someone wise?
When he knows what information to use well.
When they know what has to be done where, and they are pretty good at the calculation of what would be the circumstances, what would be the consequences of those decisions based on a lot of knowledge that they have gained and a lot of effective intelligence. A lot of effective intelligence, the use of intelligence in a particular manner and the knowledge that they already have in their memory, when they use these both in order to help others to understand what would be the consequences, and they calculate it so well that their calculations tend to give the right answers to the questions that are asked. We say they are wise. Yes. When do we see? We see there's a wise saint. There was a wise old man. People used to go to him to ask what to do in this situation. How does he know what to do in that situation? They have that much of experience. That experience gives them memory, it gives them knowledge, and that experience also teaches them effective intelligence. To not thinking ability. They think, they use their intelligence effectively in order to provide you directly with a correct guidance or an advice. Getting it? Now, let's proceed further. We have a few points to discuss. Now, I want someone to read this. Offline mein, koi padega? Come here and read, na, so that all the students can hear. These are the basic applications of effective intelligence. Just read through the pointers. There are 2 points.
Basic application of effective intelligence. First, practical intelligence, the capacity to evolve independent solution of practical problem and situation. B, resourcefulness, the capacity to use the available means for the desired end with the help of the improvisation of resources and finding a solution when in a tight corner.
Practical intelligence. What does it define practical intelligence as? The capacity to evolve independent solutions of practical problems and situations. And resourcefulness is defined as the capacity to use the available means for the desired end with the help of improvisation. Resourcefulness, resource क्या है? जिससे हमको कुछ मिल रहा है. Resourceful क्या है? उसका adjective है. Resourcefulness, to use resources to their, you can say, maximum capacity. So to understand how to use your resources well. Correct?
How can we relate effective intelligence with practical intelligence?
When it comes to effective intelligence, में हमने 2 sections segregate किए. One is practical intelligence, where we are talking about situations. Okay, so certain situations may, based on your memory and experience and your knowledge of the situations that have happened in the past, probably, now you will try to derive a conclusion or a plan out of which you will try to get the desired result. But when it comes to resourcefulness, you have certain resources to help you, but you need to know how to use them effectively. That would also be a part of effective intelligence. अभी अगर डॉक्टर ने आपको बोला that you have a vitamin D deficiency and you need sunlight, your bones need to be, like, your body needs to be exposed to sunlight in order to, get over the lack of the get over the deficiency. अभी तुम 12 बजे जाके धूप में लेट जाए. Will it be of will it be more of use to you or will it be more harmful?
Harmful.
This is effective intelligence. Intelligence is knowing that sunlight is important to get rid of the deficiency of vitamin D. But effective intelligence would be to also understand that how to use that resource to its complete benefit. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि 12 बजे की धूप is complete waste, is it? It is of use for something else. It is fulfilling some other purpose. We are bringing it to use to some other aid. Getting the difference? So, what does resourcefulness say? The capacity to use the available means, whatever means you have available, and you have a desired end that I want this result. To use whatever you have available in order to get what is desired by improvising these resources and finding a solution when you are in a tight corner. Now, resourcefulness का best examples तुम लोग को मिलेंगे घर में.
लेक्चर में
जितने जुगाड़ मम्मी लोग कर रहे हैं ना, दाल बच गई है, चावल बच गया है, दोनों को मिला के तड़का लगा. रिसोर्स है, करेक्ट, रिसोर्स है. हमारे पास मीन्स है, यस, हमारे पास एक डिजायर्ड एंड है. डिजायर्ड एंड क्या है, रिजल्ट क्या है? That we don't want to repeat the same meal and we want everyone to enjoy their food so that they eat well. This is the desired result. What is she desiring? She knows that if I keep the same dal rice that I kept in lunch, these people will not eat well. Yes? So now she has the means to do something. She knows what is the desired result and she will improvise with this means and use the resource to her own benefit in order to attain the desired result. That is effective intelligence. And that too, when you call it effective intelligence, this is not something that she was planning when she was cooking the dal rice. कि मैं ज़्यादा बनाती हूँ, शाम में तड़का लगाऊँ. Getting the difference? Effective intelligence. When a situation occurs, what do you do to deal with it in order to attain the desired result? Getting it? Have a look at the pointers given here. Aditya, your question about why should we always take the early morning. So you can search for that on Google and you can check for the answer for that. Why is the early morning sun more beneficial to your health compared to the afternoon sunlight? We don't really. Yeah, actually the objective of this entire presentation does not get covered in that. So we do not have the time. Otherwise, I would have explained that to you. Yes, again, bookish knowledge is good, but general knowledge is important in daily life. Again, I would suggest you all need to stop using the adjective bookish for things that you find difficult to understand or imply or apply. So yes, the rest is definitions. Okay. Now, important aspects of effective intelligence. The first is productive self-awareness. Unless and until a person is aware कि उसको गुस्सा आ रहा है, तो अपना गुस्सा कंट्रोल कर सकता है क्या? अगर किसी को गुस्सा आ रहा है, ठीक है? चलो गुस्सा नहीं, गुस्सा is very evident. Let's go for jealousy. Okay? Now, if someone is feeling jealous of someone else, but he is not aware that he is feeling jealous. He is not admitting that he is feeling jealous. उसको पता ही नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं कि वो झूठ बोलता है, उसको पता ही नहीं कि मैं इसको जलन बोलता हूँ. He will not admit. In this situation, can he actually control that jealousy and work on it? No. जब तक you do not understand and acknowledge the problem, will you be able to solve it? No. What does it say? Productive self-awareness. You need to be aware about yourself, how you feel, why do you feel that thing, when are you changing? You know, self-awareness does not have only to do with what others are giving you opinions. कि मुझे मेरे फ्रेंड ने बोला कि हाँ यार आजकल मैं बहुत ऐसे बात करने लगा हूँ, बहुत रूड हो गया हूँ. Is that self-awareness? That is taking criticism. That is taking criticism positively. That I should work on. What is self-awareness?
Ma'am, you get to know by yourself that you are angry and you
Would
need
you
to
like to add something about self-awareness?
Okay, guys, I believe no kind of learning is one-way learning. Can somebody give me a few examples about self-awareness? Let's take example or let's take jealousy like how she said. Anybody, first. Those markers for self-awareness. Okay, all right. Anything else? Sorry. Can you cite an example? All right.
Okay.
Okay.
And like you know that you are angry and you need to control it. So if you control it, have yourself awareness.
All right.
That is self-control.
Okay. That's self-awareness. Okay. Self-awareness, like how she stated the example.
Why?
Like how she stated the example of jealousy. Let's look at it through a different perspective. What is jealousy? Jealousy is essentially you admiring a certain quality that something else has, which you want to imbibe, but
And someone has
unfortunately
put in
have
the
not
chat
been
box.
able to do so.
In chat box.
Right? तो अंदर से जैसे हम ईर्ष्या बोलते हैं, right? It is that. Like, I like that about it, but since I'm not able to do it, I'll criticize it. Right? I'm trying bloody hard to get to that point as to I want to have that quality, but unfortunately I'm not able to do it, so वो बुरा होगा. Right? It is essentially saying that jealousy is a form of admiration holding its breath totally inside. I mean, I'm going to talk about it, it's bad. Yeah, you're not able to accept that, unfortunately, I'm not able to do it. Okay, once you let that out, you're letting your breath out. You're able to admire something, but you're not able to contain that shame as well. Jealousy comes with a shame factor to it, right? It's a conditioned shame factor. But if you accept it and if you say, you know what, I really like that quality of yours, I wish I had that, I've been trying so hard, I just can't get there. You just release it. Yeah? So that is self-awareness. That is self-awareness where you are able to understand that I like something about her, I like the way she talks. I like the way her words come out. I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that sitting, not standing up. Yeah, I've let that out. Yeah, so you getting that aware of yourself with every aspect. Now, anger, somebody's anger, right? Anger is not essentially bad. It's an emotion. Would you say happiness is bad? Would you say joy is bad? No, right? Anger is not bad so long as you know what the desired intention of that anger is. If you say that, you know, human rights everybody should have, but we are essentially talking of human rights, which essentially again means that nobody or not everybody is seated on the same pedestal. Right? Agreed or not agreed?
If someone like someone is happy with something, if something is going wrong with someone, that can be called bad. Because
Yes, that is sadism. That is sadism. That is bad happiness, but then again, you know, we need to go into the deeper aspects of it as to why somebody else's sadness or why somebody else's trouble give you that joy, because probably something happened which you need to deal with. So that's a separate issue altogether. But essentially, अगर मान लो कि इधर से कोई भूल जाता है या आपके पेरेंट्स उनसे कोई बदतमीजी से बात करता है for no rhyme or reason, should that not anger you? Should that not anger you?
Come on, boys, respond.
If it should, then maybe you're kind of either detached personalities जिनको फर्क नहीं पड़ता और या तो आप बुद्धास already बन चुके हो it's like okay ये तो सभी humans के साथ होता है. Let's deal with it. I'm not triggered by it. It doesn't affect me whether my parents are being mistreated or whether my brother is being mistreated or whether whoever is being mistreated. मुझे नहीं फर्क पड़ता. I look at it very objectively. None of that triggers me. So either you reach that state कि आप बुद्धास बन चुके हो, so you are kind of enlightened, और या तो फिर आप detached and you need to work on that, right? So if you see that somebody is troubling a girl or a child, is that not troubling? It should trouble you, right? It should cause anger. But how you direct that anger and what you do about that anger is another thing altogether. And snapping just like that is reaction. Reaction. If you look at the word reaction, you are repeating the same action over and over and over again. It is not giving any good results.
Attendance.
You being able to respond effectively to that anger makes all the difference. That becomes self-aware.
Okay. Yeah. Has everyone signed the attendance? All right. Okay, let's continue. Everyone's clear with the concept of self-awareness? Attendance. Pass the attendance on the backbenches. Okay. The second factor here, everyone pay attention. Now, once you're self-aware, only then, if you have the understanding of your own constraints, of where you are lacking, of your weaknesses, of what is stopping you from achieving what you want. Once you have a good understanding of these things, only then will you be able to work on it. Yes? Yes? So the second point here says understanding one's constraints and capacity limitations. इसका मतलब सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि मुझे ये समझ में आएगा कि मैं क्या क्यों नहीं कर पा रही. It also means understanding कि मैं कितना कर सकती हूँ. If I try to push myself beyond that, will it be healthy? Mentally, physically, either which ways? Will it be healthy to push myself beyond my capacity just because someone else is capable to do it that much? No. So you need to know your limits and your limitations both. You need to know किससे ज़्यादा मैं नहीं कर सकता अभी और किससे कम मुझे नहीं करना चाहिए. Understood? Next is defining a plan to work through them. Now, once you know where is the problem, once you know, you're aware that, okay, these are the good things about me that I need to maintain. That is also enough. And these are the things that I recognize to be not so appreciable about me, or the things that are good but can get better. I have to work on them. So therefore, combining this entire scenario, I will derive a plan in order to work through it efficiently. Yes? Next, continuously optimizing one's plan. Continuously optimizing one's plan would basically mean that if you have drawn out a plan, and in order to stay consistent with that plan, you will need some motivation. Yes? If you're consistently just working on the plan, but not keeping yourself motivated about it with respect to the desired result, you will soon get tired of it. Yes, the consistency. So there has to be motivation, an optimizing factor. The next one is being aware and accepting towards the dynamic nature of life. When it says the dynamic nature of life, it's generally saying plan. And when things don't go the way they were planned, you are supposed to try to apply. You are supposed to use effective intelligence in such situations and deal with them. Try to alter your plans accordingly. Instead of panicking, officer-like qualities we are talking about, right? When things don't go as planned, instead of panicking, what you're supposed to do is that bring intelligence to effect. Based on what you have, the resources that you have, the practical intelligence that you possess, you will apply these things, improvise, and further use them in order to gain the desired result. Making sense? The last 2 points are balancing your goals as well as your journey. If you're just focusing on your goal and you believe that the journey, however it is, it doesn't matter, would your goal be the same as you would want to achieve it? If you're not learning anything throughout the journey? No, right? So what it says is learning from the challenges while enjoying through your journey. If you try to imply all these points as an officer to attain officer-like qualities in yourself and to apply effective intelligence to all your decisions and your behaviors, all that you do, you will